Hello everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. We are back in Italy. We never left. We're in the wonderful town of Pisa. It's not where they invented pizza, so don't make that mistake that I made. And we're learning what's up with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now, I've never been there, I'm sad to say, but Sam, you have.
Yes,
So what was it like?
It was interesting. It was fun to go, but we were not able to go up into the tower because
it's leaning.
Yes.
It's dangerous.
Yes. So they only let a certain number of people go in at one time so that it's not too heavy, I guess.
Interesting.
Yes. So if you are planning to go and you want to go up the tower, in the tower, you need to make sure that you look and see and check and make sure if you need to book time or you need to plan when you could actually go. So unfortunately, I was not able to go in, but I did get to take a whole bunch of the famous I'm holding up the tower pictures.
Oh, every tourist wants to get one of those.
Yes.
And yes, sometimes even, I think in Taiwan on Yanmingshan, when the cherry blossoms come out, you also have to book a time. They don't want too many people and traffic jams. And of course, we learned yesterday the Leaning Tower of Pisa is over 800 years old. And I imagine there's no elevator. There's stairs inside. And so they don't want many tourists in there damaging it, crowding it up, making it dangerous. So that's a good tip. If you do want to climb to the top of the tower, you can, but you have to book in advance. But you can always get that good picture.
Yes, or a leaning one.
Leaning on the tower. There you go, being crushed. The tower's falling on me. But of course, the tower's not falling on us, even though it's kind of been falling for a really long time. They've stopped it from falling. It's still leaning. It's safe. Let's find out all about that in today's article. How safe? Work on the tower stopped for about a century because of war. When work continued, the engineer in charge decided to build each floor at an angle. That made the leaning worse. Upon the tower's completion in 1372, it leaned 1.6 degrees. All right, so we're going to continue to find out what's up with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I guess the big mystery is how did they stop it from leaning, or how did they stop it from falling and just keep it leaning? Because even after they had just done 3 floors of the 8 floors, the workers noticed it was leaning.
Yes.
This is more than 800 years ago. So what happened? Next we read, work on the tower stopped for about a century because of war. Well, I'm glad it wasn't because of lunch.
Yeah, right.
Because that would be a long lunch break, because a century is 100 years. Stopping your project for 100 years is a long break. But if there's a big war in your country or your city or your area, okay, that's a good excuse, because a war is a very big, violent fight between countries or nations or something like that. We're not talking about 2 people punching each other when they get mad. We're talking about governments using armies and navies and guns and tanks and planes and ships to kill lots and lots of people because they don't like each other. The countries don't like each other. The soldiers might not care. But of course, when we think of wars, we think of World War I, World War II. Unfortunately, today we know about the war in Ukraine that's happening there in Eastern Europe. So war is terrible. It kills many people. It destroys many things. It costs a lot of money. And we hope we don't have many of them or any of them in the future. War is not good.
Yes, and so that disrupted their building for...
When people are fighting and your country's in danger, your building is not so important.
Yes. So for 100 years, they didn't really continue working, but they decided after 100 years, hey, let's go and finish that Leaning Tower because that sounds like a good idea.
Maybe they started the war just so they didn't have to finish the tower.
Like, leave that for the grandkids.
Oh, there's a war. We don't have to. Oh, darn. But they did go back.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we continue reading and we see, when work continued, the engineer in charge decided to build each floor at an angle. Okay, so they already knew that this tower was leaning, so they brought in an engineer this, 100 years later, and the engineer, which an engineer is a noun, and that is a person who helps to design and build a building, and they, in this case, build a building, and they will look at all of the math and hopefully the weight of the building and the soil and all this kind of stuff to make sure that the building is very secure and stable and strong enough to last a long time. Nowadays, we have many different kinds of engineers. A very popular one these days would be a computer engineer, so somebody who might build software. We might have mechanical engineers or chemical engineers, so there are lots of different kinds of engineers who are all out in the world working today. But this engineer decided to build the rest of the floors on an angle to try to counteract that leaningness of the tower.
Interesting. So it was leaning, so he thought, well, maybe if I can build the floors a little differently, I can make it straight again. Again, this was a long time ago. Engineers today have computers and lots of good science to help them do their jobs. These guys had a pencil, a paper, and a pretty good idea of math, but not as much as we have today. So they were working with much, well, less good science. I guess you could say their science wasn't as good as the stuff we use today. So what about this plan? No, that made the leaning worse. So this engineer's idea did not work. It did not fix the problem. In fact, it made the problem worse, or made the leaning happen more. It said, upon the tower's completion in 1372, it leaned 1.6 degrees. Now that's not a lot,
not
1.6 degrees, but at that time, of course, it was 8 floors high when it was finished or completed, or as we said, upon completion. Upon is a preposition we can use in a few different ways. You can use it to say something is on something. I put your hat upon the table. It's kind of a fancy way of saying it, but you might read it in a book or a story. And we can also use it to talk about a certain time or event or date in history. Upon your 18th birthday, you will be allowed to vote or join the army or something like that. Upon her marriage, Mary and her husband moved to New York or something like that. When that happened, on that date, or at that time. So upon completion, when it was finished.
Yes, so completion is just the noun form of the verb complete. So to complete something, you could say that thing has been finished, and so we can use the word completion. So in this case, we have the date that was the completion of this tower, and that was obviously I think it was almost 200 years. So it's been a long time trying to get this tower built, and unfortunately, it is still leaning.
But just a little bit. 1.6 degrees. Not too much off zero, but that wasn't going to last forever. We're going to take a break. The tower will continue to lean, and we will be back. Over time, that grew to 5.5 degrees. Then the Italian government stepped in and took action. It got a group of experts together. They tried several ways to fix the lean until one worked. Now, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in no danger of collapse. All right, so the last time we checked, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was leaning around 1.6 degrees, but it had just been finished.
Yes.
Okay,
So the engineer was probably crossing his fingers and saying, I hope that this works.
I'm sure he was.
But if we go ahead and continue our article, we see that over time, that grew to 5.5 degrees.
That's more.
Yes, that is definitely more.
That's more.
So now at this point, we kind of need some, we need some help.
There's a real danger this could fall and kill people.
Yes.
I mean, it is not a good thing.
So then the Italian government stepped in and took action.
Wow.
So now it's to the point where we can't ignore the leaning anymore. There, as you said, there is a real danger that this could fall. So the Italian government stepped in. So the government is the noun of the ruling kind of, we usually will say the governing body of a city or a country. So it's all the people who are in charge of making sure that all the rules and all the economy and all the everything that goes into a country is kind of progressing in a good way. And so they're the ones who are running that. You might have a president, you might have a king, a queen. It depends on exactly how your government is built. But in this case, the Italian government has said, enough leaning, we need to figure that out. We'll see how they did it.
Hopefully. Now, governments are good at organizing big projects. They can probably find the money to do this expensive thing. So it's not a business that's doing it. It's the government doing it for the people and the country of Italy. And so tourists like us can visit it, but they need the government's help to fix this problem. So what did the government do? It says it got a group of experts together. Governments are good at getting groups of experts together. Can they fix the problem? Maybe, maybe not, but this is a start. And so these experts, probably most of them engineers of some kind, they tried several ways to fix the lean until one worked. I seem to remember they were going to put weights on one side to try to pull it back. They were going to dig under it to put things to push it back up. You know, they had a bunch of different ideas, and they didn't really know which one was the best idea, so they tried a few. And it seems that at least one of those, or maybe two of them working kind of together, a few weights, a little bit of pushing, something like that. It worked because we read, now the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in no danger of collapse. Yay! That's very, very good. And I guess the other important thing is they kept it leaning.
Yes.
They probably could have made it straight and safe, but of course then tourists wouldn't go to just see the straight Tower of Pisa.
Yes.
That's not interesting. So these experts did a very good job. What is an expert? Someone who knows a lot about a topic or a subject. If we think of university professors, they are experts. If we think of doctors, they are experts in medical science. Lawyers are experts in the law. Things like that.
And so the experts stopped the tower from collapsing. So we have the word collapse. It can be a verb or a noun. You can say that just collapsed. Or in this case, we said the collapse of the tower. So we didn't want it to fall down. So again, it's the noun, but the noun and the verb really mean the same thing as falling down, just used as a noun. And again, like you said, the lucky thing is they kept it leaning to bring in tourists, because it's not very fun to take a, oh no, the tower might collapse on me picture if the tower is totally straight and looks fine.
Yeah,
So,
the used to be Leaning Tower of Pisa.
The formerly known as.
Is not a popular thing. So there you go, a very cool thing. The experts have saved the tower and they've saved the tourists so they can go there and take those silly pictures and maybe even climb the tower if you're lucky, but don't jump on one side. That might be very dangerous. Thanks for joining us, guys. We hope you have some wonderful trips in your future, maybe to Italy, but we also look forward to seeing you back here with us soon for more great articles. Until then, bye-bye. Or, sorry, arrivederci. How's my Italian?
Great.
No.
Work on the tower stopped for about a century because of war. When work continued, the engineer in charge decided to build each floor at an angle. That made the leaning worse. Upon the tower's completion in 1372, it leaned 1.6 degrees. Over time, that grew to 5.5 degrees. Then, the Italian government stepped in and took action. It got a group of experts together. They tried several ways to fix the lean until one worked. Now, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is in no danger of collapse.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 war 名词，战争。The two countries have been at war for years. 这两个国家多年来一直处于战争状态。下一个单字 engineer 名词，工程师、技师。Judy's father is a computer engineer. Judy 的爸爸是一个电脑工程师。下一个单字 upon 介系词，依怎么样就怎么样，或者是在什么之后。Upon your arrival, please report to the reception desk. 到达后，请即刻到接待处报到。Reception 就是接待处，那么加上一个 desk, reception desk 是一个惯用语，指的是接待处、接待柜台。Arrival 指的就是到达。最后一个单字 government 名词，政府。The government is planning to increase taxes. 政府在计划增税。Tax 就是税金。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 in charge 负责 ，charge 是一个名词，表示责任、掌管的意思。我们来看看这个例句。
Yes. This is disgusting. I want to speak to the person in charge.
I'm so sorry. I'll get him right away.
Yes, I'm the person in charge. Did you have something to say to me?
This tastes delicious.
下一个文法 step in 介入，这是一个不可以分开的动词片语哦。我们来看看这个例句。The police stepped in and stopped the protest. 警方介入并终止了这场抗议。Protest 就是抗议。最后一个文法 A gets B together. A 把 B 聚集起来。我们来看看这个例句。I got my neighbors together to have a barbecue last Friday. 上周五，我把我的邻居们找来一起烤肉。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，回去记得要复习哦。我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hi, I'm Toi.
I'm Carolyn.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Kiki.
And today we're playing a game called Undercover. We each have a word on our card. 3 of us have the same word, but one person, the spy, has a different word. And we will go through 2 rounds of clues, and then we will guess who we think the spy is. You ready to play?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I hope so.
Carolyn, you're first.
If you have one of these of a society, it's not a good thing.
if someone might say that one of these could happen in a stock market,
and be very bad for an economy of the country.
Usually you can describe something that could be closed with this.
If this happens to a person, they could injure themselves. Okay, that's the first round. So round 2 of clues. Carolyn.
You don't want one of these to happen when you're making a certain French dessert.
You have to be careful about one of these occurring if you're exploring caves.
If something like this happens, usually you can get hurt.
If this happens while you're driving, you could destroy your car. Okay, I think this is a tough one. So, on the count of 3, let's point to who we think the spy is. 1, 2, 3. Me! Okay, Carolyn, what's your word?
My word is collapse.
My word is also collapse.
My word is also collapse.
Okay, so yes, I'm the spy. My word is crash. Okay, so Carolyn, why do you think it was me?
I actually thought it was Kiki at first. I thought it was Kiki at first, but your second clue made me think actually that it was maybe Crash.
I was just giving really bad clues.
Yeah. Right, so I also thought it was Kiki at first because she said it could make a place, it would be why a place is closed?
No,
Yeah.
no. I meant like, you know, like a collapsible, like
Like
what
a
do you-
tent or
tent,
something?
yeah.
Hamper,
Okay.
like you fold it down.
Or like the wall, the room dividers.
Okay.
Well, you
It's like a
wouldn't put-
positive.
As a noun, like
That's why-
the room divider isn't a collapse.
That's why I said I was giving bad clues.
Yeah, okay.
Throwing us off.
Yeah, so that's why I thought it was you. But I thought from your first 2 clues, for both of you, I thought you both had collapse because of, crash because a stock market can crash,
Right.
an economy can crash. So
Okay. Well,
I
that
think
was
I think these words are similar.
a tough one.
Very true, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did good.